Yeah, what's up? Hi, guys. Wow. So, a lot of people, that one story with the milk, like a lot of people saw that. And one particular guy, one time I was in Austin, and you know that theme song, the Sallia Snap, Sallia Science. Well, some guy, I was in Austin, and then some guy from across the street, it was super crowded at night, and one guy just starts screaming it from across the street, like recognizing me. And that was like the most flattering compliment I've ever had in my life. So that is a story of the most flattering compliment of my life. Okay, so hi, I'm Sallia. I do science education on Snapchat, and I figured we could start this off by maybe teaching you guys something new. So I flew here from Los Angeles in a plane, and I found out that a lot of people don't really know where the fuel is kept. Where's the gas tank on an airplane, right? So I was kind of hoping for a whiteboard, but we don't have one, so I'm gonna use my body as art here. So. Okay, guys, pretend I'm an airplane. Just really use your imagination here. Pretend I'm an airplane. This is like the cockpit where like the pilots like are. My arms are the wings, and my like, I don't know, my legs are like the back of the airplane. And I just want to do like a show of hands. Where do you think the gas tank on an airplane is? Is it in my head at the front of the airplane? Is it here in the wings? Okay. Is it in the or is it in the back? Some people. So it seems like majority of people think it's either the wings or the back of the airplane, right? So the truth is, so the gas tank is actually inside the wings. They keep fuel inside the wings because it's really close to the jet engines, and that's actually I think the only reason why they do it. And now you learned something new. And I think that is really cool. That's the really cool thing about sharing knowledge is that, or teaching, is when you walk in, you don't know, most of you actually did know, where the gas tank on an airplane is, but now you can walk out reassured that it is in fact in the wings. All right, so for some of you who might not know what I do science education on Snapchat. I was formerly employed as an engineer, but in my spare time, I would create doodles, stories on Instagram and Snapchat and make content. And a lot of people would ask me, so how do you do it? How do you maintain a 9-to-5 and make social media content? And usually I would just lie and say, oh, I don't sleep, or I stick my nose to the grinding stone. And the truth is, one, I love sleep, and two, I don't own a grinding stone, so that's, I knew I had to choose one or the other. I couldn't keep doing both, and very luckily for me, in April, my job made the decision for me, and now I make Snapchat content full time. Yeah, yes. So I do Snap Science on Snapchat, and now I moved to Instagram as well. And I've always enjoyed lecturing at people, so I figure it was a very natural progression for me. And I also do a lot of DIY things, as you saw in the video. I like to make my own experiments. I make my own Rube Goldberg machines. I make my own costumes. Anybody else here cosplay at all, or just me? Okay, cool, awesome. So, yeah, in fact, I actually made a costume for Mike Placco's remake of Stranger Things. Anybody here watch Stranger Things? Yes, awesome. So I made a really cool Demogorgon costume for his remake, and yeah, Chris is nodding because he knows how cool it was. Got to witness that in real life. But so I like to make my own things. In a way, I've kind of DIY'd my entire social media career, and so we're going to talk about that today. More about myself. I was a Shorty Award nominee and loser, losing to DJ Khaled, darn doodle. But some really amazing things came out of that. For one thing, I met so many awesome people like Nik, and I wrote in here that I would point at random people that I met at the Shorty Awards, but the problem is I forget people's name really quickly. But I met a lot of you at the Shorty Awards. It was super awesome. And I also got to meet Bill Nye, my idol. It was super awesome. I went to Bill Nye, I was like, you're my inspiration, you're amazing, and can I take a selfie with you? And he was like, yeah, hurry up. So it was a really awesome experience. And I got to impress my friends and family with that too. And speaking of my family, I think the most like valuable thing that I gleaned from the Shorty Awards nomination was my parents weren't always, they were very traditional. My mom is an immigrant, and they believe that, oh, you must work hard, get the 9 to 5, do that normal trajectory. And that was the first point where my parents thought, oh, that could be a viable career option for our daughter. So that was probably the most valuable thing. So thank you, Shorty Awards. So the most common frequently asked question I get is, well, do you want to start a Snapchat streak? And the answer to that is yes. But the next most commonly asked question is, well, how do you start? How did you get your career started? And the really sad thing about this story is it is very immature. It's so high school, and the whole thing took place in college. So, while I was at work. So, I got my start on Snapchat, and I was in college studying engineering. And one thing I definitely knew about myself was I knew that I love figuring out how things work, and I also knew that I love applying that knowledge to making cool stuff. So for example, my friends and I in college grabbed like a lawnmower engine, a car frame, threw some wheels on it, and we got a Baja car. And it broke very quickly, but it was super awesome while it lived. I also had a job in college, and my job was to explain my lab's research to other people, like the whole spectrum of people. So we would go to like elementary schools and explain to children. We would dumb down our research for businessmen at conferences. And I would explain the research. I would explain our research to other PhD candidates. And the thing is, like, not a lot of people know that this is like a thing. This is a thing that most lab groups, grad school lab groups, actually have one person dedicated to communicating research to other PhDs. Because when you reach like that level, like when you're near the brink of human knowledge, it's like really hard to communicate to other people, even other PhDs, what you do. So that was my entire job, was to educate other people what we do and hopefully get some money out of it. So one valuable lesson I gleaned from that job was, no matter how many times you explain something to someone, if they are not understanding it, that's your fault. It's not their fault. You can be the most intelligent person in the world, but if you have a bad teacher, you will learn nothing from them. And that was very valuable, and that's a lesson I carried with me for the rest of my life. So I also saw that grad students were really bad at making poster boards too. So I just ended up taking over that job, and I became the de facto poster board making, layman explaining person at my lab, and that was really cool. It was a really great first job experience. So also, when you're in engineering as a female, I was typically the only girl at conferences, or I'd be the only girl in my classes. And I came to really dislike some of my classmates and my professors and my colleagues. So my friends and I, we were all girls in engineering, and we would complain or make fun of our classmates. So they said, well, hey, have you like tried using Snapchat? You can, instead of like complain about them, you could just like take photos and make fun of them, and we would do that with each other. So it's a sad story. So what we would do is I'd be at like a research meeting, and I would like snap a quick photo of this guy that gave me some attitude earlier. I'd draw a doodle over him, send it to my friends, and we were just doing that with each other. And another thing about me is I'm very laterally productive. And what that means is if I have something really, really important and big I have to do, I will, like this speech, I will work really, really hard on something else. So, so if I had like finals to work on, finals or a thesis I had to work on, I will be making a really, really nice snap picture, trust me. So while my friends would be sending doodles to each other, I would be, they were just sending kind of these really simple doodles. I'd be sending these really extravagant, and then my friends would be like, whoa, calm down, Sallia. Like, this is just Snapchat, dude. So also at the time, I was spending a lot of time browsing Reddit. Anybody here use Reddit? Redditors? Okay, cool. All right, like 3 of you. Perfect. So, hold on. That was my mom. I'm gonna put that there. So, Nice to know she cares about me. All right. So Reddit. I was browsing Reddit at the time, and Reddit was all I knew. It was my social platform of choice. I could be anonymous. I could complain about people anonymously. It was amazing. And I went on the Snapchat subreddit and posted one of my drawings to the subreddit, and with the caption, "This is what I do on Snapchat. Is there anyone else out there that does what I do? Is there anyone else out there that also draws on Snapchat that wants to see cool drawings? Send me your username. Maybe we'll start a Snap streak, or like we'll follow each other. We can exchange art. It would be awesome." And I went to sleep, and the next morning I wake up and I see that some people saw they really liked it, and they cross-posted it to really big subreddits like funny or art, and including like BuzzFeed picked it up. BuzzFeed, College Humor, a bunch of publications, and boom, I now went from 0 to 1,000 people in one night, and I was thinking, wow, something's onto this, and that is also how I got my breakthrough with the rest of the Snapchat community. That's how I found out about Cyrene Q, Sean Duras, and Mike Platko. So that was a really cool moment. That's really how I got my first burst of following on Snapchat. Sorry, stay hydrated. Life water. So let's fast forward to my first engineering job out of college. I was working with people I still don't really like, and I was really unhappy. I wasn't really learning anything new. I was sitting behind a desk, kind of doing the same task over and over again. I wasn't making cool stuff. So me being laterally productive, I figured, well, how can I still lecture at people, make cool stuff, and use my engineering degree? And that's how I made Snap Science. So what I would do is I would DIY my own little at-home experiment, and I didn't really have anything. I didn't have a studio. I didn't have any professional lighting equipment. It was really like a very ghetto rig Bill Nye episode, and it had this really ghetto rig theme song, which I thought was really cool, so I kept it. And so what happened was people really thought that was cool, and a lot of people were really attracted to that, to learning something interesting through social media. And what was really cool was, and I thought that was really cool, was teaching somebody, a mass amount of people, something new, which is some kitchen supplies. And that was awesome. I also bought a fire extinguisher, so that was a good purchase out of that. So eventually, people started to notice, like brands started reaching out. And that's when I figured I could probably start sustaining myself on this platform. And one particular brand reached out to me. It was actually an agency that reached out to me. And they wanted me to work with a television brand. So what they wanted me to do was their plan was for me to use my snap art skills and make this really epic 10-snap story with these drawings with scenes from a movie. And it was really colossal. It looked like a giant, huge amount of time that would spend, and just wasn't enough money for it. So I said, you know what? I have a better idea. If you trust me, hear me out. What if we reenacted those exact same scenes with finger puppets? And the agency paused, and they're like, okay, we'll take that up with the client, and we'll get back to you. And lo and behold, they actually did take it up with the client. The client said yes for one Snapchat story. And I said, okay, perfect. That's all I need. So went home. I mad crafted some finger puppets and made these miniature sets. And it was super awesome because making stuff is really what I'm passionate about. And what was really cool was when I sent it, I posted the story, and people loved it. The brand actually loved it. They cross-posted it to other platforms. And what was even more amazing was that was the first time I got to collaboratively dictate with a brand what the content would be. And that's when I realized, shoot, making content, that's something I definitely want to do in the future. I think this is my calling, this is my path. And another thing was the audience. The audience saw the story, and they started making their own finger puppets, and they started snapping their own finger puppets to me. And the fact that you can influence someone to make something for themselves, that's awesome. And that's when I learned the power of influence. All right, so Talked about that. All right. So, publications. So, all right. So we talked. So, to publications. I started gaining the attraction of some publications. I was getting featured on Snapchat Discover. I was featured a lot on Refinery 29, on Sweet, on IGN, and then actually, I was actually getting featured on Discovery channels I didn't even know existed. So, for example, I was on vacation for a while, and I didn't have any data, and it came back, and I opened my Snapchat, and I was like, whoa, there's a lot of snaps in like a language I can't understand, and it was actually French, and very limited French. It was like, how did you find me? What happened? Why are so many French people following me? It turns out I was featured on Konbini, which is Discover's channel in France, so that was super cool, and that's connecting with a global audience. That's amazing. And I also started attracting people like Redditors, teachers, other girls that were in similar situations to what I was in college. Actually, when one particular follower reached out to me, so she was in high school. She lives in the Midwest, and she is in her high school's engineering program. She's the only girl. And she reached out to me telling me, oh, well, she can't, nobody wants to, well, first off, when you're the only girl, only guy, black, white, Asian, gay, straight, whatever, and you're the only demographic in a room, you're alienated. Like, no, that's like a law of the universe. You're gonna get alienated, and getting alienated sucks. So what happened to her is like, well, she couldn't work in a lab group. It was like really hard for her to find a lab partner because guys didn't want to look like they're interested in her, or they thought, oh, maybe she's not competent, or she couldn't ask the teacher questions or ask her classmates questions because she was scared that it would just it would confirm their prejudice that, oh, she's not competent in STEM. So she reached out to me and she says, hey, I see that you also graduated with an engineering degree. I just wanted to get your advice. Like, do you think you can convince me to stay in this program? I think about quitting. And I'm just like, girl, like, I can't convince you to do anything. But what I can tell you is that if you leave, like, will you love anything as much as you love science? You and me both. We both love learning about how things work. We both love making really cool stuff with that knowledge. We both love knowing how the world works. We both love science and physics. And if you leave, where are you gonna go? Will you love liberal arts as much as you love, as much as you love STEM? And so what I also told her was, if you leave, you will prove everyone who doesn't believe in you right, and you'll prove everyone who does believe in you wrong. And she graduated. She's now at Purdue studying mechanical engineering, which is like one of the top engineering schools. So that's super awesome. Good for her. And then later I found out, actually, I had said something really stupid in a Snapchat like later, and she was like, well, she can like graduate engineering, so can I. So that's a true story. So getting people to learn something new from my content is something I really care about. I also really care about getting people to understand the world around them. I also care about being a role model to women as well. And I feel like there's been a lot of negative press lately about women in STEM, about sexism in STEM, specifically in tech. And I want to use social media as a way to reassure other girls that it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't always have to be that way. And it's incredible just by like using some kitchen supplies and using like a pair of safety goggles and a fire extinguisher, that you could teach other people more about the world around them. And that's really cool, giving people an end goal. Oh no, it's stuck. Wait. There we go. Okay, so what's also more valuable than any of the brand work I've done is the friendships I've made through social media. And a really cool thing about making new friends is that you learn things from other people. So like, shoot, I wouldn't know like half the people in this room if it weren't for social media. So as an adult, it's really hard to make meaningful relationships. And as it was really easy when you're a kid. When you're an adult, it's really hard to make friends. Or maybe that's just me. But like getting firsthand knowledge is like a really valuable aspect of like having friends. I have like one friend, Mike Placco. I work with him a lot, and so do you, Chris. So we worked together a lot on movie remakes. And one particular movie remake, Jurassic Park, he reaches out to me like, hey, I know you make miniature sets, you make cool stuff, you want to help me out with this? And I said, okay. So I fly over to Boston, and I bring over some craft foam and make some really mad props with some craft foam. And he goes, whoa, I didn't know you could do that with some, something you buy for 99 cents at Michael's. So that was really cool. And he taught me a lot about filmmaking and how to make your Snapchats like 100 times better. And what was really amazing was after that, he applied that knowledge that he gained from using craft foam to make his own alarm clock for a Groundhog Day story, which was super awesome. And then later, when we worked on Stranger Things together, I brought over Warbla, which is like this cool thermoplastic that a lot of cosplayers use. And for the Demogorgon costume, it's these really long fingers that are really creepy. And so I made like this glove with thermoplastic, and hopefully maybe he can use that knowledge later too. And he taught me a lot about the business side of Snapchat, what's the point of making a really good story, about getting really cool brand deals and stuff like that. So that is really the value of making really awesome friendships on Snapchat. So let's talk about now. So what are my plans for the future? I've abandoned the traditional trajectory of having a 9-to-5 and buying a house and all of that. So, and what's really funny is that Shorty Awards like invites people that have like really accomplished like careers in social media, but I'm just starting mine. So thank you, Shorties. And so some things I did was I finished like a really major project with a brand. I made this like Rube Goldberg machine, like Michael Bay style movie machine. It's super awesome. The video's about to come out. I'm going to talk about all the things I talked about here. And also, I'm traveling a lot more now. I'm here. I came here from LA. I'm going to be going to San Francisco in a little bit to judge an international art contest. And that's something I would never have been able to do if I stuck to a 9-to-5. If I stuck to my engineering job, I wouldn't be able to do that. And I get to meet so many international people, which is awesome. People I would have never met if it weren't for social media. I'm about to fly out to a continent I've never been to with a Snapchatter who I used to idolize, and now we're close friends. Like, that's really awesome. Also, I'm about to go to Comic-Con in San Diego. Is anyone else gonna go? Just me? Okay. Well, I'm gonna be cosplaying too, so. So, I mean, like, this is where I am now. And, like, in the end, it's, like, about using what you have. You should love what you do before trying to make money off of it. And worry about your content before worrying about your follower count. If I lost all my followers tomorrow, I would still make cool content. If I like lost my stylus, which I usually use to make drawings, now you know the secret, I would use my finger instead. If I broke the front-facing camera, which might have happened on the way here, if I broke the front-facing camera on my phone, I would still make awesome content. What it is because it's what I love to do. And if you want to pave a career in social media, it should be what you love to do as well. Well, thank you for having me. And any questions?
Broadway has the Tonys, Hollywood has the Oscars, and now social media has the Shorties.
Welcome everyone to the 7th annual Shorty Awards.
The Shorties are by far the most prestigious.
We are so proud to be part of the Shorty Awards.
Thank you, Shorty Awards.
Thank you for doing that. That was pretty cool.
I get a call, I gotta be at the Shorty Awards.
I'll speak from the heart.
Wow, that was awesome.
There is not a more passionate fan base out there.
Hi friends, what's up?
Thanks for the Best Singer Award, I really appreciate it.